Bitcast. I'm here with Zach again. What's going on, Zach?
Happy weekend, man. How you doing?
It's been a long weekend, parenthood. What can I say?
Hmm.
But we endure, we survive, we thrive and survive.
I don't have any sympathy for you.
Well, you're a parent too. That's what you sign up for.
That's why I
Part
have
of
no
being a
sympathy for
parent is
you.
being a masochist. You know.
No, it's as soon as that thing gets popped out of the oven, you already know it's
Yeah.
it's going to be a headache for a minimum of 25 years, and
Yeah.
lots of love too. And it's the most fulfilling thing ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It
For
doesn't
sure.
mean
For
we
sure.
can't say it's hard or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just perks of being a dad.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, it's funny how people try to have kids to fix things when really having kids just amplifies your situation. So if you're in a stable relationship, it'll amplify it. If you are in a rocky relationship, your kid's not going to fix it. It's going to amplify how rocky your relationship already is.
I
So
think because it forces you to work on it more. Like it's like because you don't have enough time for each other, you definitely will go out of the way, especially if it's stable, to make sure it stays stable. Versus
yeah,
it, unless it doesn't naturally amplify it, it's because it forces you to work on it more. You know what I mean? Like you have to find time for each
exactly.
other and stuff like that. Like that's not a. It's not just like, oh, the kid just makes everything so great. I mean, it's not necessarily
You
true. It
still
makes
got to
it
date your
harder.
spouse, man. Got to take them out when you can, wine them and
I
dine
just
them.
prefer to just lock them in the room and just pretend they don't exist. Just play. No, no, it's great. I love having a kid. Father's fantastic. I don't really talk about this stuff publicly, but it's the most fulfilling thing in the world, and I wouldn't ask for
For
anything
sure.
else. The amount of purpose that it provides is bar none anything else. And I've talked to people over the weekend about recently got married, and they're in the same age as us, and originally wanted kids, but they're thinking twice. And it's like I can't convey to you how life changing and how fulfilling it is until it happens. But you got to get this mentality of just of yourselves and each other out of the equation. Otherwise, you're always just going to have
Oh yeah.
this lack of fulfillment and purpose. Like when you're 80 years old, what are you going to be thinking about? How much fun you had with each other? Or are you going to have all this regret of what could have been?
Facts. Facts,
What's
man.
up with that? Why do
Facts.
you think it is? Like, look, Gen Zs are lost. I think they're done. We're writing them off. It's time for how do we salvage what millennials? Because millennials you have millennials who either have a few kids or they're not having any, and I'm starting to see they're not having any versus anything else. And then the number one thing I hear, it's because it's too expensive. When we both know like expense is part of it, but let's be real.
Could I do? Could I do pseudoscience conspiracy theory with you?
Mm-hmm.
What if what if it's like the herd, humanity itself, the herd is sensed that there's just too much of us.
Yeah.
And so in a subconscious of humanity, people are like, you know what? We gotta rein this back. And how do we do that? We change the mentality of the next generation. We make them think, look, you don't need kids, all right? What you need to do is go online and figure out the 10,000 different things you should care about and say, I'm not having kids because I need to be the one to save the world and care about all this stuff and protest all this stuff and put little black squares on my social media. I'm being facetious, but I'm saying, what if that's a thing? What if that's herd
I
mentality of
I
like,
believe it.
we
No,
got to
because
pull
I
back?
think we're sold this lie that it's too expensive, and um, we're sold that your sleep matters, taking care of yourself, to me each other thing matters more than anything else. And um, it's a lie, straight up. Like, no, I'm not saying it's not expensive. Trust me, it is, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's not to the point where you still can't take care of yourself and someone else. It's just, especially if you have someone that you're with and you're married, you're committed, you know, that type of thing. It's just I
You'll find a way. I mean, I know there's
yeah.
people out there who have multiple kids. I only have one. There's multiple people out there I know who have like way less than me, but have like 3 kids, 4 kids, and they're
Mhm.
making it work. They're just cutting back on everything. They're making it
Yeah,
work.
because the things that you want, like I think what it provides for you having a kid is way more than the fact that you got to cut back on your Starbucks or going out to dinner all the time or whatever it is. Like there's ways to provide that, but we're not sold that anymore. It's like we're not sold that having kids is fulfilling. It's not how it is, and I think a lot of people have been tricked. And for the people who think no, 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 that's not true, it's like, well, that's fine. We'll talk in 50 years when you're dying or you're on your deathbed and you're still broke and you still don't have anything, thinking that not having kids is still going to magically make you wealthy when it's really been your choices
Well,
to make you to the point of where you're at. You know, I mean, look, me and you grew up in a very similar social demographic, right?
hmm
It's not like we grew
hmm
up rich, far from it. And I
no.
do extremely well. Like, why is that? Because of the choices I made. You do very well. It's
hmm
because of the choices you made. And yeah, it's just it's just how it works, guys. I don't know how else to really put it. And yeah, that's all
Well,
I have to say about it.
I don't want to drag this out because we are
Of
a video
course.
podcast, but um, I found like the opposite was with our generation and the generation before us, where it was like I felt like having kids was trivialized. Like how you know personally people who were like, "Oh, I want to have a kid so I could dress it up and you know we could have
Yeah.
outfits together, matching
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
outfits."
yeah,
And
yeah, 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 yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
smiling because
It's
he
like
knows
an
what I'm talking about.
accessory almost. You know what I mean? It's like,
Exactly, like having kids was
yeah, yeah.
trivialized, and I know people who really have nothing who have like multiple kids, and I'm like, you can't even feed one. Why you have? It's like they were trivialized. They were having kids like toys, like accessories, like you said, and kids suffered for it, But this generation, I mean, the next one, Gen Z, you were saying, seems like it's doing the opposite. It's like, nah, we're good.
They don't even want
Whereas
to
the
talk to each other. It's so fascinating. It's like they're
they
sitting
do, but they
across
want to do
tables
with
from each other.
emojis.
Exactly. They can sit at a table like right in front of each other and they're on their phones communicating. It's the wildest thing in the world. I've personally witnessed it. It's crazy to me. And
Same,
I
same.
how do you feel about like taking your kids to like Disneyland or Disney World or doing these like family vacation stuff? Like what's your thought on that?
Um, Before I answer that, I will say I did go to film school in my late 20s, and being older in almost every class with 18-year-olds was an experience, my friend. But yeah, like family vacations, like, look, um, people who don't know me, I'm a very practical guy. So we're definitely going to do that with our child and our future kids, but we're going to wait until they can actually like form memories when they're like 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not going to take my kid who's 2 years old to Disneyland, and because she can just go to the park and think it's Disneyland, like, so I'm waiting to do that until she gets older, but I'm definitely going to do that. I'm the guy too who I'm like, and my wife's pretty practical too. We was like, for her first birthday, we're not doing this big extravagant party. No offense to people who do, but we're like, that's really for the adults. That's not really for us. I mean, not really for the kid. Like the kid's not even gonna remember their first birthday.
Mm-mm.
So we just visited family. They threw her a party. That was cool, but it was like, I'm not gonna be throwing these extravagant parties when the kid's not even gonna remember it until she can talk. Or she's like, I want this, I want that. Then we'll do the party thing. And oh, I want to invite my friends. Cool, cool. But she was one. I'm like, and then I know some people who had 1 year old parties with thousands of guests and da 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 and extravagant stuff. It's like a concert. I'm like, that's cool. That's just not me. I just don't see the point of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But that,
No, I
I'm all
agree.
for that family stuff.
I'm part of it. It's just I don't know Disney World or Disneyland. I feel like people put so much into that stuff. Like I'd rather
I'm more
take them
interested.
to
I've always been more interested in Universal, maybe because I grew up on Nickelodeon, that I've wanted to do Universal more than
yeah,
Disneyland.
yeah,
And I've
yeah.
never been to Universal. I've been to Disney World and Disneyland. I've never been to Universal.
Apparently, they're
So,
building one out here at Universal thing.
oh, nice. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
along with
so
movie studio
I've been
stuff, and
more interested in stuff like that and Dorney Park and Hershey Park. I've been to those and those are fun. But especially now that I'm older, I'm like Disney and Disney hasn't been doing anything that I like, so it's like there's no incentive for me to go, but I'll take my
no, it's
kids.
like you spend a lot of money. It's like for what? It's like what do you get at if it's just?
You know
It's not
what's
like you
cheaper
can.
than Disney? A cruise.
I
Like a
know
7 day cruise is cheaper than Disney.
I could just take
It's
them to
crazy.
Europe instead. I'd rather do that personally.
You can do that. Or you could take a cruise to Europe for cheaper than going to Disney. It's crazy.
Why is
Oh,
that? Like, how did this happen? How did Disney turn into that? I just don't know. I just don't know how the chain of events just make it to where it's like, I mean, how many
nostalgia.
people truly can go? Like, normal people can't go to
People
something like that.
bankrupt themselves to go
Oof.
because nostalgia is a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the same reason why Nintendo can release a new underperforming console and put out the same games, but people still buy it in droves.
Yeah.
Nostalgia. Like, it's a drug that I just don't understand. Like, you can make millions of money and still, you could still hurt your audience, but still get them on nostalgia. And Disney is just working on the nostalgia.
And they're
Even
relying
people
on
who
that
don't like them.
solely, I think, huh?
Oh, that's the only thing that's keeping them afloat right now. Let's be honest. People are like, "Oh, I'm not going to see the new Little Mermaid or the new whatever. I'll just watch the old one," which is true. You can still watch the old one, and you can still ride rides for the old movies in Disney.
What
That's
do
how
you
they're staying afloat.
so I'm curious, what do you think it's going to take? What would Disney have to do to get you back on? And then I'll tell you what they would have to do for me because it's a lot, man. It's like catching it's like catching your girl cheating on you. It's like if you want me to forgive you, you got to do a lot, you know?
Yeah, you gonna have to check in every night. So now. um, for one, so Disney, I'm a blurred, I'm a black nerd. So I love Marvel and Star Wars. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday because I went to DoverCon, and one, I love Star Wars. I'm sorry, I don't want to get anybody fired, but you got to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy. Sorry, you just, I mean, you got to.
All right, so
You got to.
this is not just to get you back on Star Wars. This is to get you back on Disney. Period.
And you need to correct course with Marvel, where it's you need to cut down on how much content you're making, and you need to be more thoughtful on the content that you're making, like you used to be when you were the underdogs. And Disney as a whole, I need you to stop trying to check boxes and follow an agenda, and I need you
Mm-hmm.
to just create good stories. Like, think about it. Beauty and the Beast was just like modern day Frankenstein. You know, Lion King was just Hamlet with lions. You know, like um, Little Mermaid was literally a fish out of water. You know, like Peter Pan was just imagination. You know, like just tell me good stories with good themes instead of trying to check boxes and check agendas, and stop trying to target one demographic because you have a grudge. I'm looking at you, Leslie. I forgot her name, who's the showrunner of Acolyte. But like Disney keeps hiring these showrunners and these directors and writers who have these personal vendettas against some demographic. I don't know, pick one, and they got a problem with it, and they're putting it in their work. I'm like, how about you just go to therapy and stop trying to put your issues in your work? All right, like let's do that, man.
I
I don't get it.
so I like that list. I just for Star Wars alone, it's beyond Kathleen Kennedy. Like there's a root of the issue that allows this
That's true.
type of thing to happen because Kathleen Kennedy almost gaslights you where she makes public statements where, you know, we have no room for bigotry here. We put empowering characters who are women and all kinds of like, you know, races and stuff. And if you
But
don't
her
agree with
tactics
it,
are bigotry. I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
I agree. I agree. It's like And I feel like we're at a point where they've been doing this for almost 10 years now, and and I mean, you can parse that some of the things that Kathleen Kennedy does for Star Wars is good, like Andor and Rogue One, but just because those came out doesn't mean that the other things still isn't bad. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. She can have some good content, but most of it can still be garbage, but that's the people they decide to bring on. Like Rogue One was already established right ahead of time. And if you had Gareth Edwards, who's going to have Kevin Gilroy come in, Kevin Gilroy naturally was going to continue doing Andor, and they just gave him the creative liberty to do Andor because he did such a good job with the original movie. But everything
I
else,
mean,
it's like the original content for episodes 8 and 9. It's like, what are we doing? For Acolyte, take your pick. It's just why?
you
What
hit
are
it
we
on the
doing?
nail, and you can tell like Andor and Rogue One. Kennedy was kind of hands off on it. Her name's on there, but she was kind of hand off. Whereas everything else you named, the various episode movies, well, the sequel trilogy, Acolyte and stuff like that, she's actively on the press tour, like pushing her agenda in her interviews. So it's like you could tell which one she's touched and the which one she hadn't.
I wouldn't want to have her on there. It's like having Joe Biden in for like some like thing. Like, why would you want that? It's just poisonous. No, but no, seriously, like Kathleen Kennedy. Let's just say like you have a potential show coming out. Do you really want Kathleen Kennedy to be on there like sponsoring this thing? Like she's the go-to press person? There's no chance. Why would I do that? You
No,
know. But
no,
I mean, the thing is, like, besides her gone, there has to be a fundamental, you know, fix from the ground up
a
for that company.
restructuring.
Yeah, like that's the
Yeah,
only way you're going to get it because it's a cancer at this point of just throwing this at the wall. It's like, guys, like I don't think you understand. The demographic that spends the most money doesn't want it. How many different ways from Sunday do you have to be told this?
and the demographic that spends that money are the ones that you're attacking constantly.
Yeah. Why do you think Acolyte's been destroyed?
And people like Zach and I, who are huge Star Wars fans,
Yes.
haven't even watched it.
No, I won't. And I don't need
I haven't
to. I
even
can
watched the
read the
trailer
reviews.
voluntarily.
I already knew what the power was, the spoiler for it. And when they
Please
started
tell me because
having,
I don't know. Please
I don't
tell
know
me
if,
because I don't
no,
know.
because you're not going to want to watch Star Wars again if I tell you.
I'm not
But I'll
watching it
say
now.
that depending if you're a man or a woman determines how strong you are in the Force.
Are you?
No,
I'm not even surprised. I'm not even
yeah,
surprised.
I heard that. I was like, wow, that's, and look, I was I was talking to a family friend over the weekend he's in his late 40s. He's loved Star Wars forever, right? He's very practical. He's just a normal guy. He just loves Star Wars and all kinds of other stuff, right? And he's like, I'm not going to watch this. Why would I want to do this? They've been taken for granted. People like himself in that demographic, the Gen Xers and stuff, who's watched it when it came out originally, and you know the millennials and stuff like that. It's like, why would we want to do this? Like for what? Just for us to be told that you know we
It's
can't
a slap
enjoy
in the
this
face.
because of whatever. Like that's where it's at. And I thought it was supposed to stop. It hasn't. They're doubling down on it, and I don't know how much more stock price has to go down for them to really see, like, you know what, maybe we should stop.
Money talks, man. Money
Money, I
talks,
thought money
and
talks too, but you go look at their stock price last 5 years, it's lower than it was 5 years ago. That's not good. Usually things go up.
oh, and I wanted to ask you about this because you're a businessman. So it turns out not just Disney, a lot of these companies are still doing this because of government money, government mandates that they took during the pandemic. I don't know what's true and what's not, but I heard to stay afloat, these companies took a lot of COVID money from the government, and these
It might be a
agendas
state thing.
are
I don't think
stipulated.
that's a federal thing. I think that might be a state
Oh, it
thing.
might be a
So
state
if
thing.
Disney's
Oh,
a
okay.
California based thing, I 100% believe that something like that from California. All right. Like
Okay.
it's
All
just
right.
how it is. Florida, DeSantis went on a war path with Disney, and
Mm,
took away their tax status, and they changed things quickly after that.
mm,
Go figure, you know.
right.
Um, no, but besides that, it's like you have so many great IPs, you have so many other things, and how are you going to rely on Pixar to continue making gems for you and everything else just has to go? I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense. You charge a lot of
Even the
money.
animated movies have been lackluster, man. It's just
You're right. You charge a lot of money
uh,
for the parks. You charge a lot of movie for the products, the merchandise, whatever it is. And at a certain point, it's like, look, money's tight for a lot of people. If they're seeing this and something else to compare it to, and they can only get one for their kid, you're making a really good pitch for them not to buy any merchandise.
the only thing that's keeping the parks afloat, I think, are the Floridians who already live there who get a discount and they just buy season passes, like a year pass, and they can just go whenever they
I
want.
think the California one, the one in Anaheim, is like it's the vicinity, right? It's like it's in LA,
Mm,
virtually Anaheim's LA. Okay, sorry for people in
mm,
Anaheim. I'm sorry, it sucks, but it's true. But it's the vicinity, right? Like it's 4 hours away from me
mm.
driving, and you know, I think that's just part of it. What else would have to be done besides the Marvel stuff's like just get back to, like you said, make it simple. Go back to how it was. Like just make something that kids can enjoy. I don't have to worry about like, my kid asking me what's that, and I'm like, oh gosh, really? And go into details like just something that's just enjoyable. And you know, I feel like as time goes on, less and less people are going to have natural hate for someone else because they're different depending on their sexual orientation, their race, whatever it is. People at the core are not like that. That's a learned thing. But if you're going to continue going down this road, you're going to make people feel that they're vindicated for feeling that way. So you're just making the problem worse. I don't know.
And they're going to
That's just
shun
me.
you, and they're going to find the new IP that's going to fulfill their nerdism,
Yeah.
like Dune. Dune has done great in the box office.
Yeah.
Everything else has been trash.
Yeah. No,
Go figure.
I, I, and it's funny because Dune's way more complex.
Oh yeah, and it's like way more twisted. It's not family friendly.
No, 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 no. It was just happens. It's watered down to the original for sure. And I'm I'm not going to see Acolyte. It's just it is what it is.
Me neither.
I'm going to continue enjoying Star Wars for what it was. And
You
yeah,
know what I
that's all. I
started doing? Watching the rewatching the originals. That's what I started doing.
prequels. The prequels are so much better because the sequels are so bad.
I know. It's like there's a funny quote online that people keep saying. It's like the sequels and Star Wars as a whole right now makes us go to the prequels and look like, you know what? Maybe we were too harsh, or maybe
No,
we
you're
should
right. Even
rethink
though the writing's
this.
so bad, but no, like for as a testament, I have so much signed merchandise from Star Wars. I got behind me a signed Hayden Christensen Darth Vader helmet, Timur Morrison Boba Fett helmet, James Earl Jones Darth Vader. I got Jeremy Bullock signed Boba Fett stuff. Like anything that you can think of, Ian McDermott, any character, I probably have it. That's how big I am for a reason.
Right. I mean,
It's,
there's an X-wing right behind you
oh yeah,
that we
I
can see
do.
clear as day.
Uh-huh. Yep. And I don't know what to replace it with. So I think I'm just going to stick in this bubble of, you know, first like season of Mandalorian, the idea of Book of Boba Fett, and the idea of Obi-Wan, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, we should do it. You know how Disney, when they bought Star Wars, they took everything that was the books, the comics, and they said that's not canon anymore. That's just Star Wars legend. That's what I do mentally when I think of all this new Star Wars stuff. I'm like, you know what? Besides Andor and Rogue One, all that stuff is canon. I mean, all that stuff is legends. The new stuff that they put out, but all the
The
comic
animated
books, the
stuff's
books, the
good
original
for the
stuff.
most part.
Yeah, the
Like
anime too.
Bad Batch is cool. Clone Wars is
Yeah.
cool. Rebels is cool. Wasn't a big fan of Ahsoka. We already talked about that ad nauseam.
Straight garbage. So bad. So bad. But they're making a season 2.
So
Did you hear that?
I I feel like they either hit the nail perfectly when it comes to live action character transitions, or it's just bad. And um, I hope they really stop doing live action cartoon stuff, to real, because it's not working out very well.
Even in Kenobi, the Grand Inquisitor, he was he was bad in the Kenobi show as opposed to him in Rebels and stuff like.
Yeah, because he ran them, so it's like I like the Ezra dynamic of that. That was fantastic. Um,
Even Grand Admiral Thrawn live
yeah,
action version was
you pick a great actor to
garbage,
play him because it was the voice actor. It's one of the
and you
Skarsgård
gave him
brothers, right?
garbage material. Yeah,
Yeah.
the Mickelson, right? Mickelson,
No, yeah.
Lars
Not
Mickelson,
Skarsgård. Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen's brother. What's his name? Lars
Lars.
Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Lars.
Fantastic actor.
But you gave him garbage. The scripts were garbage. That's the problem, and everybody was directed to act like they have no emotions at all. It's like, oh, our engines are blown up. We're totally vulnerable. We could die. Ahsoka's like, I'll be right back. What? And
You
ever
travel
since,
across. You travel to another galaxy for
Mhm,
revenge or looking for your friend,
right,
and why don't we feel that?
you find your friend after all this
That
time
wasn't
of
very
years and
exciting.
years. And this is a guy who sacrificed everything for the galaxy. His love interest, his life, his friends, everything. And then when they find out it didn't work, when he finds out it didn't work out, he's like, oh well. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? These animated shows had way more emotion. Like, and then nobody dies with saber strikes anymore. And if you notice, Zach, it's funny that you said that the power in Acolyte shows that a certain gender is strong with the Force, because everybody in the new Star Wars shows that's been stabbed with a lightsaber have been females, and they've been surviving. So this has
Yeah.
been in the works.
When what's her face? What
Sabine,
Sabine? I'm like, first off, under
that
what
was a director.
circumstance in any other movie did anyone survive that? The only other one that would survive anything crazy was Anakin because he got burned by a volcano. But other than that, like he's the
Darth
exception.
Maul is the exception because he got cut in half. He's the exception, but he's an
I don't
alien
know how he
species.
lived
We don't
that.
know we don't know his physiology, and
Yeah,
we
but
find out
Sabine's
later through the
human.
animated show. Yeah, through the animated show, we find out he's a dark brother or whatever, so he might have magic on his side. Sabine is a human. She had the same blow that Qui Gon Jinn had in Phantom Menace. Same blow. How did she survive? She's not even a Jedi.
Just
How
don't
did she
make the
survive?
injury so severe if you're going to keep it. I just don't.
Thank you. And I forgot Reva, that girl Reva
Because if
from
you're going to
Kenobi.
do something like that, right? Like
Twice.
something that insane, like that injury, make it to where it lasts all season. And it's like a problem. Like their ability to fight is hindered. Like that's not something you could just shrug off. Like why have something like that if it's one not going to kill them, or if it's not going to add to the plot for the story? It
Because the
just
Force
does.
is female.
Yeah. Well.
Remember in episode 2 when Obi-Wan got hit 2 times and was immobilized? He got grazed 2 times. They didn't go through him. He just got grazed on his arm and his leg. Hello, we're talking about lightsabers that have like the power of the sun. Like they can melt anything. They can go through anything. And you people are surviving? Like Reva gets stabbed twice as a little girl when Anakin attacked the kids at the temple, and when Anakin stabs her again as Darth Vader, and she survives twice. And then Sabine survives. She gets hit just like Qui Gon Jinn got hit. I'm talking about through the spine. It went through, clean through. And she's just walking the next day. And she's like, oh man, I can't believe I lost that battle. Like, what? What? You should be in physical therapy if you're still alive. Like you should be
Dead.
paralyzed.
You should be
You
a
should be
force
dead.
ghost right now. Yeah.
Yeah, your internal organs just like disintegrated in an instant. You should be dead. All right. It's just it's. I don't want to harp on this.
No, it's
On
okay.
to the
We'll go
next
to
one.
the next thing. All right. So I'm curious. Um, we have lots of like crazy political stuff that's going on right now. Do you think we're going to get movies or anything out of it? Because it seems like there's a protest for this or that or something or whatever it is, and it just seems like there's so much strife going on. What do you think?
Last year, I probably would have said yes. I think I did say yes, but
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like, I don't know because the movie industry is doing pretty bad, man. It's doing pretty bad, and you know what's taking its place? Documentaries. I'm still waiting for the Diddy documentary to come out. It's probably going to come out next month on Hulu. They're probably going to have their own. Uh, Netflix is probably going to have their own. Like all these
Next
documentaries are
month.
coming out
How long have
instead of
they been
movies.
working on it? Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh no, I'm speculating.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like
I thought this was like dang, that was quick.
because these documentaries are cheaper to make,
Uh-huh.
and people are no longer fact checking this stuff. They're just getting people for interviews, sitting them down, and like, hey, you knew him. Tell us something, and then people are like, "Oh, I get 5 minutes of fame. Let me embellish some of this stuff in my interview." Oh yeah, I saw it coming from a mile away. Then why didn't you do anything? But anyway, like movies haven't been making money. Like, when was the good? When was the last good satire movie? I'm thinking of Bush, or was it that Dick Cheney one with
That was pretty
Christian
good.
Bale? I didn't see that one, but I like W and stuff like that. But like, you're not really having these political movies anymore. I think because it's a very hot topic now.
Mm.
Our mindset has changed in the country where it's very binary, where it's like you're either us or you're them. So you're losing money that way. You're only going to get half of the people if you put out a movie that's like, let's say it's a Trump movie. Like instead of W, it's T or Trump Tower or Don. What's it? What do they call them? Teflon
Deep.
Don.
Yeah. Yeah.
Teflon Don. Let's say they have a
But
movie called
Civil War
Teflon
was
Don.
kind of like that, and it kept the political stuff very ambiguous. Where whatever side of the aisle you're on, you're going to align yourself with the good guys.
It didn't do that good in the box office though. Didn't really do that good, and that was one of your critiques too. It didn't really take a stand on either side. It just
Correct.
was kind of ambiguous. It was kind of central, and so I think that took some people out of it. Alex Garland, he's a great writer director, but his movies don't really make that much in the box office that much. But his stuff is great, but like you said, it didn't really pick a side, and I think people wanted it to, and it's kind of hard to do now because these companies need their money, and if you're going to alienate half a population, it's like, should we even do this? Should we just put it on a streaming service? Should we make it for like 50 million and put it on a streaming service? Should we just do a documentary that's leaning this way and people will tune in? Because people, it boggles my mind that people still think that documentaries are true, and I'm
Just
like,
because they're
no, they're just
documentaries, yeah, it's wild,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's just a video essay. It's not real. It's just like a regular movie. It's an
There's no
opinion.
rules of the universe stating that this is like truer than fact.
Yeah, it's an opinion piece, but people believe them and they're gravitated to it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this and I didn't know that. Like, oh. It's like, no, man. It's just like a regular movie. It has a stance it wants to portray and it puts it out there. So I don't I don't think movies are going to come out of this political situation not until the climate has
But it's
changed.
such captivating stuff, like the Trump trial, like the fact that it got to that point is just captivating. We're not going to have like real good excuse me, we're not going to have a really good like conversation with between two people without getting heated for at least 20, 30 years. Trump's got to be
I
dead.
know.
I'm serious. Like
I
these
know.
all these guys have to be gone. They're going to have legacy and then we can discuss it after the fact. That's the only way anyone's going to have a conversation with it because too much people get heated over it, and
It might be
he's like
longer
one of
than
a
30
few
years, man.
guys to elicit an emotional response out of someone. No one's just neutral about Trump, right? So
Mhm.
you have to have, like I said, we're going to have to be in our 50s really for people to like step back. You're like, okay, oh, he wasn't so
I
bad,
don't know.
you know.
This generation after us, I don't know, man. They're kind of sensitive. I don't. It might be longer than 30
We're
years, bro.
we're banking on the fact there's going to be someone worse,
True. That's very
and
true. I
it's
don't
just
know.
a. But
Hmm.
the thing is, it's like, look, Trump's been in the media for so long. Like he was in Home Alone. He's done so much stuff. He's been in rap songs. He's been in TV shows. He's
He's been
always
in
had
WWE.
he's had larger than life type of things since the 80s. And he's always just been that type of he's just been in our mainstay culture. And everyone really liked him until 8 years ago. Let's be real. Everyone
when
loved him.
he
Celebrities loved him. Hillary Clinton loved him. The View loved him. Everyone's like,
and if
oh
you
yeah,
didn't
Donald
love
Trump.
him, you just kept your mouth shut.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
Now
he's a
it's like,
billionaire and he's cool and he takes care of you, whatever it is. And it's just now it's not like that anymore. So I mean, I'm not going to go into that whole thing and like pick a side, blah blah blah. The trial stuff, but I'm just curious, like why don't we have? Because these are good stories. These are good things to elicit a response. And you can make a movie about him without picking a side. Just say it for how it was, and then
you
the
could
audience can make that determination.
you could show like the downfall of Trump to where he was just drinking too much of his own sauce, like a
But is it a
dramatic
downfall? That's the thing.
movie.
You're making an argument based on a lot of people don't feel that way. A lot of people feel like it's a rise, like it's part of
It's a
the
downfall
brand.
because he was found guilty of all
Yeah,
charges,
but then you make a charge like, what if he's found not in the
all.
appeals? Then what?
And then you gotta switch the movie like Zero Dark 30, where they were making a movie about
No, no.
trying to
See, that's what I'm
capture.
saying. You got to wait till all of this stuff is done, right? And his second term's done and all that, because that seems inevitable at this point. When that's done, that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to wait to really have like the full picture, because no one had the full picture when JFK was assassinated by the CIA. But there's a reason why there's 17 pages not declassified yet, because there's a 95% chance that it's stating that the CIA killed him, but people at the time in the 60s didn't think that. You know what I mean? But we
Hmm.
look at
Yeah,
60 years later, you're like, oh yeah, the CIA definitely killed him. So maybe we need to have that type of perspective with enough time removed to see it for what it was.
hmm. Hmm. I mean, I
Now, I
see a
think you
movie
have
like
to see
him.
it because no one cares about Joe Biden. They're just like whatever. But Trump, on the other hand, that's
No,
like, I mean, look, it's like I
that's because
said.
Joe Biden has no charisma.
Oh,
He's like
he's a
he
he's
goes wherever
he's
the
a
wave
reptile,
goes.
dude. That dude's like someone poured like coffee in his like robot brain. He's just broken, you know.
But he's like a fake ass company man where he goes wherever the tide is going. Like his rhetoric now is so different from like back in the day when he was basically calling black people monkeys. Now he's like, I'm Biden. If you don't vote for me, you're not black. It's like, what?
Because Obama's
No,
the
who are
most
you?
well-groomed black man ever. You know,
The most well groomed black.
that's what he
I
said
mean, I
when he became
I feel
VP.
like
That's what he said.
that was like that was like the biggest surprise when when Obama picked Biden as vice president. But then it's like,
Because he
who else
needed
you
the
want to pick?
whitest white
Like
guy of all time to be his VP. That's why.
facts, facts. He needed him as a bulletproof vest. That's why.
And he's like, yeah,
You
if you
know,
kill me, I just letting you know you're getting him. That's why Joe picked Kamala. Let's
we
be
got him
real. It's like,
anyway.
yo, you kill me, you better pray that I'm still alive at this because you're getting her.
That's actually a good strategy, I think.
I'll tell you something right now. If I was president, I'm getting Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton as my VP. No one would kill me.
You gotta pick somebody who's just like old and senile. I don't know
Yeah,
who I'd
just
pick.
just some lunatic.
I'd pick Ridley Scott. Oh no, he's not American, so he's
What?
not
He's
American.
not. Oh, he's
So.
British.
Isn't he? He has an accent.
Does he? I had no idea. I personally had no idea.
Either
I pick
he either
I
he
pick
has an
Russell Crowe
accent
or
or he's
something.
pretending one. Russell Crowe. He's not
Even though he's
American either.
Australian.
He's yeah.
Is
Oh,
there a
he'd
rule?
like be
No, no, no.
slapping people up
So
there.
there's a rule for not to be able to run for president for it, but is there a rule to pick someone who's also not? I'm curious. I have no idea.
I guarantee you, because if you die or something happens to you and they become vice president, that's not legal because they're
Isn't
not
Australia
American.
just like England light? Isn't England just
Yeah.
America but worse?
I don't know. I don't know. We're going neck and neck for who's worse. You
Russell Crowe for me, I don't care if we took those rules away.
well, then I pick Ridley Scott. The oldest dude. He was
So we're
born in
gonna have to go.
1937.
Oh wow, I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah, he's British.
Does he have is he like on life support and we just don't know it? Like what's going on with him? Because
Based on his movies, yeah, he's on life support.
all right, so I'm curious because since we're talking about Ridley Scott, are you going to see the new Aliens movie?
No,
Why?
probably not. I feel like it's unnecessary. I feel like Aliens has just been beaten on the head until it's dead. Like
Do you not like
they're just beating a
Prometheus?
dead horse. No, who does? I don't know. It was such an unnecessary movie. Like,
Didn't make sense. I'm like, all right, I already know where they're going. Where they're going that.
so you're
From
giving
like,
me an aliens movie with no aliens, and you're telling me you're not only just not giving me aliens, you're just be like, oh, we'll give you aliens, but we're only going to tell you the origin of the people who made aliens. It's not even the origins of the people who made them. It's the origins of the people who made. Like, what? I don't care, bro. Like, no. Like, who told you that would be interesting? It's like, shout out to Phil Mental on YouTube. Like, he talks about how Zack Snyder always picks the most boring part of his stories to make a movie about. Like, the best parts of Zack Snyder's movies are the beginning when they're explaining what happened in the past, or but like why would you make a movie about that? I don't care. Like, no.
I think there's
And then
something
it's
wrong with
just
Zack Snyder too, but we're not going to get into
oh,
that.
oh yeah, we're not gonna.
We're going to talk about someone who's actually makes good movies, but no one wants to talk about him, and that's David Leitch.
My man, David Leitch.
Why? What's going on? I don't. Tell me why.
I think it's because I think it's because he gets no respect. He gets no respect out here. I think it's because he just wants to make fun movies, and we're at a time where people are like, you're either getting an Oscar or you're making movies for streaming platforms, and he's not doing either. He's
I don't
just in his own
understand.
lane
I don't understand
making
that
fun movies.
thought process. Why? Why? How has it turned into like it's either Sundance or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah. It's either you're like either making Sundance critically acclaimed low budget movies, or you're
that
making
makes no
these
money.
high budget movies that are supposed to be for Oscars. It's like he's just in a lane and he's happy. Like he's like, I'm making fun action movies that I'm not trying to make. I'm not trying to get an Oscar. I'm not trying to do all this. I just want to have fun, and all his movies are fun. I mean, let's run them down. Hobbs and Shaw, John Wick. He was a co-director on John Wick. Um, Atomic Blonde, Bullet Train, Deadpool 2. Like his movies are just fun.
Didn't he do Fall
And
Guy?
Fall Guy. Love that
Awesome.
movie. And no one saw it, man.
I saw
It
it.
lost money. I'm so pissed. Like, what's up? Like, no one saw it. Like, I would have saw it a second time, but I had stuff to do. But yeah, man, I love his movies. They're just so fun. They have comedy, great action. And he's, for those who don't know, he used to be Brad Pitt's stunt guy for the longest time. Then he became a stunt coordinator. Then he became a stunt director and a second unit director. Now he's a full on director. His first foray into full on directing was co directing with Stahelski on John Wick. But because of certain rights with the DGA, they had to pick one guy for the credit as directing. They gave it to Chad. But yeah, like he's great, man. And you're seeing this. You're seeing a lot of this with stunt guys becoming directors, right? Who and a lot of them came up in the Marvel space as second unit directors, like Sam Hargrave. He did that movie series with Chris Hemsworth on Netflix. What was that? and it was actually good.
Oh, oh,
Um,
oh, oh.
where he plays an Australian soldier trying to save a kid in
Yes,
the
yes,
first
yes,
one.
yes.
Very
Extraction.
good movie. Extraction and Extraction 2. Um, Chad Stahelski was Keanu Reeves' stunt guy in the Matrix movies, and now he's a full director. Like you're seeing a lot
Which
of
one's doing Highlander? Is it Chad or is it
Chad, and
okay?
he's also doing Ghost of Tsushima apparently too. I'm like, damn, this guy's busy. JJ Perry, he was a stunt guy, and I love his movie Night Shift with Jamie Foxx and
That's a
Snoop
good
Dogg on
one.
Netflix.
That was a clever movie.
I love that movie, bro. I've seen it like 5 times.
The vampire aspect of it is hilarious.
It's great. It's great. These these stunt guys turned directors are just churning out great movies.
Because it's fun.
And
There's no hidden meaning. There's no ulterior motive. There's no agenda. Like that's the best part. You can go in knowing you're gonna have fun, and
yep.
yeah, I don't know why that's such a difficult concept. Like you got to have this crazy hidden message, and you got to be touched by the time you leave. It's like I don't want that all the time. Actually, I don't want that most of the time.
Yes. So I watched recently rewatched Bullet Train.
Me too.
Freaking love it. I can't believe it came out 2 years ago. I'm like, damn, I thought it just came
Already,
out last year. Yeah, it's 2022. And I rewatched it again with my wife, and
it's one of my
I was just like,
favorites.
man, this is gold. I just love it. I just love the juxtaposition of, like, I guess he's like an assassin guy or a reformed assassin. Brad Pitt's character, Ladybug. The fact that he's named Ladybug, like he's a reformed assassin who just wants peace, but he just happens to kill people by accident. It's like people are just dying.
Bad Bunny, his
Yeah,
character
that,
just
bad.
dies because his reflection of the knife just from the suitcase. Like, wow, that's oof.
Yeah.
And
Like
that's his
Bad Bunny was
response. He's
in
like,
there like a
oh,
good 20 minutes. Yeah, he's like, oh,
or the
he's like,
Viper girl who like has the poison. He's like, oh,
oh, can I get you anything?
do you want a
Glass of
glass of
water?
water, like a towel?
No. And she totally deserves what she got, but he's like, oh, can I help you?
You don't have a second one?
I know, like who does that? Who doesn't have a second a backup antidote?
Oh, man.
I love it, man. Like a lot of that I saw was Brad Pitt just riffing, and that came from it and stuff. And
All right, Aaron
and the
Taylor
cool thing,
Johnson and fantastic. His
yes,
accent's out of control. It's like, bro, and he kind of talks like that, which is even more hilarious. It's like,
yeah, that's like his real accent.
so he has this mustache and he just talks like that. Like, dude, like what?
Like if you mention Thomas the Train one more time, I'm gonna shoot you in your face. All right. And it's like I can't even do his accent because it's so thick.
Lemon and tangerine.
The fact that
It's like,
Brian Tyree Henry is his twin
it's
brother.
like you're not twins. He's like, he's my brother.
What's my brother? They're clearly twins. Like everybody knows they're twins. It's like, they're clearly not.
Bolivian twins. Yeah, jeez.
They don't even look like they're the same age.
And they are. That's the crazy part.
Yeah, and it's like they purposely try to make Brian Tyree Henry look older just to make the joke even more. it's like this guy looks like he's older.
He was like, maybe he had a blood on his shirt. He was like, dude, get a wet nap or something. Clean that. He was like,
he's like, it's my favorite shirt. I want people to see my tie. Like, and it's
next
funny,
time I'm in
turn on the
Tokyo, if I don't have two
subtitles.
British guys like talking like that in the seat near me, I'm gonna have some problems.
Like I had to put on the subtitles because my wife was like, I do not know what they're saying. I was like,
You know what's
"All right,
actually
rewind
you know what's one of the
subtitles."
funny parts was Ryan Reynolds, who played like the assassin who actually killed like the White Death's wife, and Brad Pitt's character was the one who subbed in for him. He was like, and he found
Yeah.
out he was like, no, that's not me. He called in sick, and it was Ryan Reynolds. He was literally in there for like 1.5 seconds, and he gets a credit to this. It reminds me of
I
like
forgot what he was
Deadpool.
shooting. Yeah, I forgot what he was shooting, and he just showed up on set to do the cameo for like less than a day, and then he was done. But yeah, like these guys, like Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Ryan Reynolds, like they all just do cameos in their movies, and they're usually like David Leitch movies, who has like these just
Well,
random
he did that with
like
Deadpool. Brad
pop-ins.
Pitt was in there for like a second because he was the invisible guy.
Literally, he didn't even have to show up on set. They could have literally just did a JPEG of his face. They didn't even need him on set. It's
Ryan
like
Reynolds in there randomly is just so funny to me. It's like, oh,
Brad Pitt as the Invisible Man. I love it, man. He didn't even talk. It was just like him electrocuted. But yeah, man, I love David Leitch movies, man. They're so fun, and I feel
so
like
what makes Fall Guy so good for you?
oh, I think it's because obviously Atomic Blonde and John Wick were more serious, but like the thing about David Leitch movies is the main characters are usually like these off kilter, like almost like everyday people, even though they have like these skills that make them extraordinary.
Yeah,
But
you
like,
can relate to them because they're normal out of the scope of who they're in. Like you compare him to the rest of the characters, right? Like he's just normal guy. Like
mhm.
Brad Pitt's relatable because he's just like, look, I'm trying to get my inner peace in, Zen. I'm doing therapy with Barry. No guns. That type of thing. And
Those are
Ryan
actually
Gosling's
quotes
character
from the
is
movie.
is smitten with this girl, and he's just like
I'm just
all
trying
of
to get
this.
laid.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get the girl. And it's like those characters in his movies are like the mouthpiece of the audience, like because all these characters are thrust into these situations where it's like a fish out of water. Even Hobbs and Shaw with The Rock and Jason Statham, like in all their previous movies, they're just driving fast cars and fighting each other. They're regular people, and then Idris Elba shows up, and he has like nanites in his body. He's like Superman. He calls himself Black Superman in the movie, and they're like, "Oh, we're way out of our league. Like this guy is crazy." So it's like it's still like a fish out of water situation with these characters: Ladybug, Hobbs and Shaw, Deadpool, uh, Fall Guy. I forgot what his name was. Dang, I just had a brain fart. But the Fall Guy, same situation. It's like all these characters are just like, "Yo, what the hell is going on? Like, what's going on?" And the audience at the same time is like, "Yeah, what is going on?" So, I think that's why his films work because they're just having fun. It's like nobody knows what's going on. So
when
it's like,
he's doing the investigations by himself on like figuring it out, I think that was great.
oh, and Fall Guy.
Yeah, and then he gets drugged.
Yeah.
He's like, "How long is this last for?" And he's like, "Till the unicorn disappears." He's like, "What unicorn?" Pops up right next to him.
Yeah. He's like, oh damn.
He's
I
like,
love the
"Dang."
part where he's like, all right, gotta go to work, and he sees the car. He's like, puts the mouthpiece in. He's just like, oh, if I and it's like no CGI. It's a real stunt guy doing it, so it's just like a visceral shot of him
So
getting
was there a
hit by a
stunt
car.
guy doing that for Ryan Gosling, or was he doing
Oh yeah,
himself?
yeah, yeah. Unlike all these other studios that want to hide CGI and hide the fact that their actors aren't doing their own stunts, um, I know Ryan Gosling had four different stunt guys for the movie, and there's like a special on YouTube that names each of them and shows which one did
You know
what.
what would have
Like
been
there's a guy who
great?
did all the
You know
falls
what would have
and
been
stuff.
great for Ryan Gosling is if the stunt guys actually got the time and they didn't. It was actually their face in there too, because they're actually like
Well,
the
I
real.
know like one or two of them had cameos in the movie,
Okay, cool.
so you see them. I
Yeah,
don't think
yeah.
all four of them did,
Like there are the
but
alternate
like
stunt guys in there. You know what I mean? But they were
yeah,
actually his
yeah,
stunt guy.
yeah. Like the one stunt guy who did all the driving. He's the guy who picks Ryan Reynolds up out of the car after he does the rolls, and he's
Oh,
like, "Good
okay.
job, man."
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
actually
yeah,
the stunt guy, the
yeah,
guy
yeah,
who
yeah, yeah,
helps him out of the car. That's him. So,
yeah.
and then I think the guy who played Aaron Taylor Johnson's new stunt guy
Oh my
was
gosh,
actually another stunt guy.
dude,
Was Ryan Gosling's
that's
stunt guy.
hilarious. That whole thing was absolutely insane to me. That he would just.
You already know what my favorite quote of the movie is when Ryan Gosling is tied to the chair, and Aaron Taylor Johnson just tells him his evil plan, and he's like, "You need carbs, man.
Yeah, you need
Like,
carbs.
you
Yeah, yeah,
need
yeah, yeah.
carbs
Yeah,
to
it's the
function as a basic human being."
your brain. Yeah, yeah.
He's like, "You're going crazy. Eat some carbs." Because it's so true. Like you hear all these actors getting ready for these roles, and they're like, "I did this. I dehydrated myself. I stopped eating carbs." It's like you need all that stuff to function. Like you shouldn't do that. And now you have all these male actors talking about this isn't healthy what we're doing. So it's like, so stop doing it.
So our stunt guys, like, I'm just curious, like, is the pay worth it? Like, what's the deal?
I think it's I don't know specifically the pay. I think it's well enough. The problem is for people out there who don't know, there is no stunt category in the Academy Awards. And this has been an issue that they've been trying to fight for since like movies have come about back in like the 20s and 30s, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Like stunts are a big part. There's people who have died. Like remember Triple X
yes.
when Vin Diesel's stunt guy jumps off of the bridge after he like drives his car off the bridge. He jumps off, opens his parachute. That stunt guy died
Doing
doing that
that?
stunt. Yes, his parachute got wrapped around the bridge because of the wind, and he died. You would never know. Like there's people who are dying on sets you don't even know, but they're still having their stunts on the films, and they get no recognition. I'm sure these movies in the credits are putting like in loving memory of, but yeah, there's no stunt category. They should not only should they have a stunt Academy Award, they should have a stunt like in memory of just in case somebody passes on doing a stunt for a movie. And don't just make it one stunt category. Do like Academy Award for best stunt driving, Academy Award for best stunt choreography, you know, best stunt fall, because there's stunt men and women who have specialties. There's people who do falls, there's people who do driving, there's people who get set on fire. There's one guy in the fall guy, one stunt guy was just there to get torched on fire every time. So it's like there's different stunt people for different things. Some people do a bunch of things, some people do other things, but there's categories for it, and there should be
And they probably get as
awards for
much
each one.
camera time, even though you don't see their face, as anyone else, because it's a lot of work.
Imagine when you have to do several takes just for a line for an actor. I'm sure you got to do several takes for certain stunts, and it's not
And
easy.
that's what makes Tom Cruise remarkable because he does his own, and some of his stuff is
Most
out
of
of
the time,
control.
yeah.
No, dude, he's like 63 years old and he's doing it. Like most of it, that's
He's
insane.
gonna die. He's gonna die. He's gonna die soon. Did you see the last Mission Impossible?
Yeah, dude, when he jumped off that mountain with the motorcycle, he did that.
Yeah, no. And I'm like, he's gonna die soon. He needs to chill out.
I can't believe he
Cause
did that with a parachute. Then he used a wingsuit. I'm like, what? That's the most
yeah, he
insane
did
thing
that.
I was like I've ever heard.
And I'm like, yo, he's only gonna get older, and he's only gonna try to keep topping what he's doing. Eventually, he's just gonna die on screen. Like, bro, like chill out, all right? Like you're like 60 something, and it shows all in the face. All right, just chill
I mean,
out,
he
bro.
looks great for his age, but still, it's not safe.
It's not. Those knees are not what they used to be, and he's doing these long running takes. And I'm like, I'm sure after they're like, all right, cut. He's like, 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 come on. Like, I don't know if he's on Ritalin or something. I don't know, but like, bro, you need to cut it back. All right. He must be on the same stuff that Donald Trump's on because I'm like, man, you need to cut it back, bro. Like, chill out. But yeah, man, they need a stunt category.
I
That's
agree.
why I love the Fall Guy because it's calling out all the movie bullshit that is about like how the Academy Awards don't have these categories and how like stunt people don't get the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
And I love because I love behind the scenes stuff. Watching all the behind the scenes was just highlighting all the crew members and the stunt people behind the scenes and all the stuff they did. That movie award did get a Guinness World Record for most car rolls. They did it on the last take because they only had enough cylinders. They only had like 3 of them or something like that, and they were on the last one to flip the car because you have to have combustible
Mm-hmm.
cylinders, like air compressed cylinders to pop the car. on the last one they got to take. They even lost the camera, which was probably like 20 grand right there.
Which is what happened. Remember, he bopped the camera.
Yeah, that I don't know if that's how they really lost the camera, but I know David Leitch said he's like, oh yeah, we even lost the camera. One got destroyed, But
Wow.
yeah, man. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, man. So
that was it was very insightful. I was educating some stuff.
I highly recommend people look the behind the scenes up for Fall Guy, and I highly recommend to watch Fall Guy.
I agree. Me too. That's the message for everyone.
That's the message. But yeah, man, this was another good one. My nomads, check out David Leitch. Check out just Google, stunt people who turn to directors. They're making great stuff, man. Sam Hargrave, JJ Perry, Chad Stahelski, David Leitch. Check them out, man. These cats are doing some good stuff, man. But yeah, I hope you learned something. Uh Peace. Be creative.